So this lady leaves me on the bed, one leg up, one leg down, and I am very, very, so much in pain. I'm telling her, please help me. I can't be able to get on the bed. And only to turn, I realized that I was by myself. All this while I was talking to myself. I delivered the baby all by myself, and I couldn't hear any cry. I couldn't hear the baby cry. All this while I was strong, but now the fact that my baby is not crying gives me worry. So I didn't, trust me, I wasn't feeling about any pain or what. Once I got a very strong contraction with it, I pushed the baby.
Yeah, guys, we are shooting this when I'm actually very hungry.
Yeah, I know that. So
No,
cleared. Cleared.
So if you're here for the first time, we are the Collins, a Kenyan-Ugandan couple, blessed with 3 miracle children, and today we are sharing a brief of our journey to parenthood.
Yeah. When we got married, before we got married, my husband had been told by myself that, I'm not going to be able to give you children, so if it is something that you would be able to settle for, well, we'll go for it. Of course, there was a time where that was a big deal for like 2 weeks. You disappeared, and then...
It wasn't that it was a big deal, it was because this information was coming to me at the point where we are just starting off the relationship.
We were young.
And we were very young, for that matter. We were in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, so he finally said, after giving it a thought, and told me, if you don't change, I'm not marrying you for children, per se. If God blesses us with children, well and good. If He doesn't, I'll still love you the same. Only if you don't change. I'm yet to find out if I've changed since then.
We are still together.
So we finally get married, and fast forward, we finally get married. The reason as to why I told him I wouldn't have children is because I had been hit by a teacher back then in primary school who damaged my back, and it lost its curve. So basically anything that would increase my weight or put pressure on my back, I wouldn't be able to, contain it. I was very sickly all through school, and that is how I was diagnosed with a condition where I had lost the lower curve of my back, and I wasn't able, quote unquote, by the doctors. Not that I wouldn't be able to conceive, but it would be close to impossible for me to carry a child to term. And even if I was to, I would be bedridden the whole of the pregnancy.
So were you worried when you were getting married?
Of course I was.
Even after giving you the reassurance?
Yeah, and also not only the worry. I loved children. It is something one of the things I ever prayed to God, I remember as a child, as a baby girl, was to have my own children. So having this news of, I think to me I was in denial until the time I got married to you. But I had to make that information known to you, despite being told that, if you ever get a man who is serious, you should keep it to yourself. I wanted my relationship to be as real. And
so when I would be trying to reassure you that it's okay, if God blesses us with babies, so it's
just fine.
It's fine. If not, it's still okay. Was that doing anything? Was that helping in any way?
In the moment, yes, it would, because I think there are moments where it propped up. And I had, we had to talk about children and how many we would want and stuff like that. So in the heat of the moment, it would help me calm down. But deep inside, I'd be like, God, I just don't want these stories of I'm going to adopt. Not that it is bad, but I want children of my own. Why can't I have children of my own, And I think that informed part of why I got into the midwifery field, because all through from childhood. Like my name is drawn from a midwife in the story of Moses, and that being put aside, when I was given now the news of me not being able to carry a child, I was like, if I can't be able to carry a child of my own, then I'll just help moms who can't be able to, who can be able to deliver, have their own children. So I think it had a big impact on who I was, because it was my desire. I longed to have children of my own.
So that period between when we started dating and when we got married, in terms of children and childbearing, what used to go inside your head?
I knew I would have a child. Whichever way. Yeah, it's not that I can't conceive. So I'll get pregnant, whether it is death, I will die.
Take us through the pregnancy journey of Rewell and of the twins.
Okay. Don't touch me. Don't touch me with your blood. Just stay where you are. Get your things. Go to the delivery room and get onto the bed. That was the midwife telling me that night. All by myself. My husband is not there, and our baby is almost coming. The tales of COVID deliveries are horrific, and mine is one full of praise. I cannot really tell how grateful I am that I still have my son up to now. It was on the 9th of January 2020, and I got my first news of being pregnant for my first child. I was so excited, but with a lot of mixed feelings. Why? Because I had a back condition that had made me get a prescription of not being able to carry a baby to term. And if I was to have a baby, I was supposed to be on bed rest the whole of the pregnancy until the baby would come. So this made me feel, one, excited that I'm pregnant, that I'm going to finally have a child of my own. But I was very scared, and the scare was more than the excitement. On the other hand, my husband was excited, and he led me through that process of fear, telling me, you know what, if God has seen it fit for you to be able to get a baby right now in this journey of pregnancy, then he will lead you through it. He will get you to the point where everything will be fine. Just trust him, because, I mean, he's a maker, and he does things differently from what humans can imagine. So my pregnancy, to be honest, was the smoothest pregnancy I've ever had. The first child pregnancy was the smoothest. We started looking for names way earlier before the child was here. So we got to know that our child would be a boy, and we had a list of names of boy children and girl children that we would have. But I had to specifically sit down and get one particular name. This was hard for me because this was going to be the first child we named, but it was very exciting getting that name. And I remember my husband helping me pick the name, which was Rewell. We settled for it before he was even born. Now, this was Corona time. Everything was on lockdown. At a particular point, we had told ourselves we are going to save up this 4,000, get food, and stock it up. By the time Corona lockdown was starting, we had 4,000 that had us go to the market, get food, and then we came and stocked it with a pregnant woman. Corona time, job closed because we own a music school, so it would have been very, very unpractical to say, oh, we are going to wait for tomorrow. We stocked food and we started off. Corona, of course, doing the portions, but I mean, when you're pregnant, knowing that, the lockdown will take us probably 2 months and we'll be out of it. 6 months down the line, we are still in lockdown. And was it 6 months? It was 4 months. We're still, by the time the baby gets born in August, we are still in lockdown. So all through this time, we used to stay in the house, do content creation. That's the time we got very busy here on YouTube. We did them the singing challenge, and things were seeming out not bad. But finally, we got to a point where now time, of course, we knew the baby would come in around October. That was my EDD. October would be the day. And when it got to October, when we thought when by the time it gets to October, everything would have come back to normal, would have our money, would have done the shopping for the child and stuff like that. Then around around July of that year, 2020, my mother-in-law says, you know what, we need to go and just get a few things. Of course, after they had lifted the lockdown and things had just come back to, normal, but curfews were still in place. So we went to town, we got a few things. We thought 5,000 would be enough. My husband got me 5K. We went, we did some shopping, and then we came back home with just a few things. Now, we knew that we still had time to be able to, cover up the other things that because, it is July and the baby is expected to come in October. What's shock on us? When this baby comes, it is a Wednesday night. We are just from a shoot, and everything is okay. It had rained that evening. We are walking with my husband, and we go to the place where we used to get tuk-tuks. We get one and we come back home. I start preparing dinner. We have dinner. After having dinner, we stay there because he used to do editing a lot in the night. So I stay here by his side. Let me say that because he would be on. I had shifted the bed to the office so that we can just have, it was just us in the whole house where we used to stay. So we were there. He was trying to edit, and by the time it clocked around 11 around there, he started talking to a very close friend of ours. And after the call, immediately, I think it was around midnight, I feel a certain kind of pressure and pain, and my membranes ruptured. When they rupture, I'm like, okay, this is unexpected. By then, I think I was around 36 weeks and 5 days. I'm like, okay, so this is quite early. How do I go about this? Of course, I tell my husband is like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, when the water breaks, it means the baby is here. And he's like, okay, so you mean like we're going to have the baby like right now? I'm like, it might not be right now, but the baby is going to be coming soon. Oh, we go to the hospital. Of course, we didn't know. Now we can't call the friend we had just from calling, because by then he was in Nairobi. The people around us, we couldn't think of a person to call. And then finally, God led us to one important lady out there called Mama Nelly. Mama Nelly came in handy. She's a client of ours and a mother to one of the girls that escorted me as a bride. So we called her and she was able to come in very quick. I packed up the bag and off we went to the hospital. When we reached the hospital that had the insurance that was supposed to cover us, the lady there was quite rude. She did a checkup on me, told me I was just at 2 centimeters, and she's like, that doesn't mean anything. Whatever I saw, the liquid that I saw was just urine. I'm like, okay, what do you mean? You mean like me? I can't be able to differentiate. Wahala. So this lady, finally, she had very long nails. All her VEs were very painful and uncomfortable. Ladies that are out there doing midwifery and you have long nails and you don't know how to go about that area, please stop doing that. be gentle with these mothers, especially if they're first-time moms. No. Anyway, so this lady tells us to go back home, and that is how we leave that place, very unsatisfied, and went to another hospital to get a second opinion. And when we reached there, they're like, oh, 36 weeks and 5 days is not very early, and it's not, above the expected child's gestational age. But what we can do for you is, you need to, one, we can't do a VE right now to tell where you are at. I didn't have any pain at that particular moment. I had not yet gotten any pain. So they're like, you'll just go home and monitor you, because now where we are in the hospital, there were a lot of COVID patients. So they told me, no, we can't allow to keep you here in this kind of condition. You just go home. When you feel like the contractions have intensified, then you will come back. Alternatively, you come back tomorrow morning. That was around 3 a.m. You come back tomorrow during the day and we do a scan and then find out how it's going, because their radiography, their radiology department doesn't work at night. So I went back home with my husband and Mama Nelly, and we were dropped. We had a friend of ours that was coming from Nairobi. Fast forward, she came. We prepared breakfast. I think we had Irish potatoes and stuff. And along that time, like it was around it was coming to midday, my labor pain started intensifying. She was like, no, you guys just go to the hospital. I can't allow to keep you here. Just go to the hospital. So by around 1, we go back to the hospital. We do a scan. They're like, oh, okay, the cervix is opening up, but the baby is actually of age, like of weight to be born. They won't have any difficulties. So baby is still normal. The heartbeat was still okay. The fluid was still there, enough, adequate for the baby. So they're like, you will, of course, the labor pains were there. They were like, we will have to now keep you in. So we're like, okay, let's first go back home, get our things. So we went from there and went to the hospital that had sent us, the one that had our insurance. And we went there and they told us, you know what, we will keep you here. This time round, we found a very kind nurse who helped me now get my antibiotics, because I had not been given any antibiotics. She gave me dexamethasone. And then she told me, we can't be able to contain you here. I'm like, okay, why? She was like, because the baby is coming early, you'll have to go to the provincial hospital here in Nakuru. So that is where I go. I was sent. That is the time now we have to call my mother-in-law and tell her, you know what, we've been referred. The baby is actually coming today. So this was Thursday. In the evening of Thursday, so we go from where we were at Mercy Mission, and we go to PGH, which is the provincial hospital here in Nakuru. And of course, we had to pass by home, pick the bag, and go to the hospital. We found my mother-in-law at the hospital waiting for us, and only to be given news that, you are going to get in through this gate alone. We won't allow your husband nor your mother-in-law to get in there. We're like, oh, really? They're like, yeah, it is only the mother alone. Now here is me thinking of how I'm going to be able to bring this baby into the world without their father by my side in a foreign country. If I had gone home, probably I would say, okay, I left the father in, Kenya. It was a shocking and confusing moment, but I had to pick up myself very fast and say, okay, it is what it is. I decided to do that, and I got in. After getting in, I was, of course, given the situation, they told me you'll be in the latent phase. Since you are still at 2 centimeters, you'll just be in the latent phase. we can feel like there are membranes that are bulging, so we'll give it some time. So they took me in. After the registration, I was given a bed. Thankfully, it wasn't sharing this time. And of course, after being given a bed, I put my belongings and I started walking because I didn't want to be stuck in bed. So I started walking to not aid up the process of delivery. I walked up the stairs, down the stairs, walked around with my mask on, trying to talk to my husband, telling him I'm still okay. The contractions are there, but they're not. They're on and off, on and off. So at around midnight, they come in and tell us, guys, you need to sleep. I'm like, okay, ladies that are in labor, going to sleep. So they closed up, they turned off the light and they told us, you guys need to sleep. Of course, me are still walking around. And then I finally had to, adhere and come and, rest on the bed. But you are there, you can't sleep. If you're laboring, you cannot sleep. There is no wahala like sleeping. Anyway, the midwives, by the time they're telling us to sleep, I was around 6 centimeters. And that is how I get now to bed. And my phone was actually beeping. I had less power. And I remember telling myself, okay, I'm going to preserve this power so that I can be able, to communicate with my husband when it is the actual time of delivery. And fast forward, at around 1:40 to 2 p.m., this lady comes in and it's like, I want to check on everybody. Everybody get on your bed. We check. So when she comes, she's like, your water. I think I am the one who screamed. I was like, I'm in too much. By that time, the pain was too much. So I asked for help and the nurse came. And when she came, she's like, I want to check on everybody. And then she did a check on me. On checking on me, I was around 7 centimeters, I think, by that time. And then she's like, there's a lot of water bulging. We'll just have to do a membrane sweep and, be able to help in the labor process. So that is what she did. She swept the membranes. And then she told me, now that we have cleared the water, we'll, of course, take you to the delivery room. So that is how I get, of course, from the bed. I was in too much pain. And this lady told me, shikilia hapa mkono. I asked her, I can't be able to get off the bed by myself. She's like, shikilia hapa. Sinishike na madam zako. Shika hapa kwa mkono and go down. I'm like, okay. So I held her hand. I got down with a lot of pain. Now my labor pains had intensified, like a lot of them. So I had to go down, and from there I had to be taken to the delivery room. Of course, by the time I get there, we are just two ladies in the room. And by the time I'm trying to get my leg up the bed and the other one is still down, this nurse disappears, the midwife disappears, and I'm just left there at crossroads. So this lady leaves me on the bed, one leg up, one leg down, and I am very, very, so much in pain. I'm telling her, please help me. I can't be able to get on the bed. And only to turn, I realized that I was by myself. All this while I was talking to myself. So I decided to push myself from the edge where I was to in the middle of the bed, so that just in case the baby comes, the baby has a safer place to land, And considering that she had told me the baby is now almost here, quicker things go to the delivery, it beat my understanding that, she could just leave. But what do you do? What do you do? So I started now. I remember singing and praying to God. I think I prayed to God in song and telling him, Lord, whatever happens, just protect my baby at all costs. Whatever happens, protect my baby. Even if I'm to go, just protect my baby. And that was me. I didn't have any way of communicating to my husband. My phone is dead. Nothing. I'm just screaming and saying, please help me, kindly help. I can feel the baby's head, please help me. And nobody was coming to my aid. The ladies that were in labor as well would be passing by and like, oh, kichwa ya huyo mtoto inatoka. I can see the head is coming out. Where are these people? And they would try looking for I can imagine them trying to look for the midwives, and the midwives had gone to sleep. Apparently, they had gone to sleep. And I remember resolving and telling myself, if this baby, because I had done so much of, pushing back the baby when I feel the urge of the baby, coming out, and I can feel the head in between my legs, I would tell myself, do not push. I didn't want to deliver without any help. So I was telling myself, please don't. And finally, I told myself, if I get another strong contraction, I will just deliver this baby, come what may. And I told myself, God, we started this thing together, and you are faithful, God. Let us not get ashamed at the very time where we were supposed to celebrate. And God did it. God is faithful. God is very faithful. I delivered the baby all by myself, and I couldn't hear any cry. I couldn't hear the baby cry. All this while I was strong, but now the fact that my baby is not crying gives me worry. So I wasn't feeling about any pain or what. Once I got a very strong contraction with it, I pushed the baby. Of course, I got a very bad tear that went even up to my cervix. I got a very bad tear. So I can't hear my baby cry. My baby is not crying. I'm trying to tell God, please, God, just let my baby live. I just need a sign of life. I just need a sign of life to know that my baby is alive. And I'm calling for help all this while, of course, I'm calling for help and calling for help. We were two ladies in that delivery room. The other one was on induction medicine. And I'm like, God, just make it possible that none of us will lose our children. By the time I had gotten to the hospital that night, there were curtains closed. And remembering my midwifery, when curtains are closed, it's not usually a good sign. Where curtains are usually left open and they are finally closed, it's not a good sign. So I was telling myself and telling God, please don't let this happen. Don't just save my baby. I just need the sign of life. And God sent a miracle midwife at that particular moment who happened to be a very rude one. Yeah. But she helped anyway. And she is part of the story, to show how God manifests himself, So this lady comes and she's like, umesukuma mapema, mbona umesukuma mtoto mapema, unajua tunawambianga mgoje na hamwezi ngoja, ungengoja. I'm like, that's to mean you have pushed the baby when it's too early. I'm like, okay, if you had been here, in my mind, if you had been here, I wouldn't be here where we are right now. And all this is happening. I'm just telling God, I just need the sign of life. She phoned me singing and praying, I remember. And then she's like, see the baby even has kaput because you have been pushing this baby for long. I'm thinking the kaput that boy of mine got was because of that prolonged, the head is coming out and then you are trying to, stop the labor pains from getting the baby out. Like that pressure in the pelvis, the pelvic bones kind of pressed his head. So I told myself, I'm not going to say anything to this lady. I just require a sign of life. That's all I want. And of course, the baby had been out like for, I don't know, to me it felt like 20 minutes or more. So I was there waiting. In those like 20 minutes, I was waiting for a sign of life, and I couldn't find one. And finally, she gets the baby. She wears her gloves and picks the baby, and she's like, she tilts the baby like this, and finally I hear. I'm like, okay, wow, we have one sign. I was very relieved. All this while I didn't cry, but I felt like this is a time probably I would have cried. But I was like, it's not yet over. I just need to feel like this baby can cry, this. But I was very glad that I could be able to hear my baby sneeze. And that was the sign of life I was looking for. The baby could sneeze. She asked me what gender the baby is. I told her it's a boy. And then she took the baby to the nursery table to be able to, suction him, because he had been in the cold for long, and be put on the warmer. And then she came back to me. Of course, this other lady was also in labor. The one that was on by my side now is when finally they have gotten to know that there's a lady who was delivered and is lying there by herself, and the baby is there. I think that is how they called each other and they came. I don't know who called them. Maybe it was God just, sending angels on our behalf. And the baby was put on the warmer. The other lady was also helped, assisted by another midwife to help her, deliver her baby. And she began to stitch me, and she's like, don't touch me with your blood. Don't do this. I'm like, I'm not even going to touch you, madam. I'm not going to touch you. I had been torn. Yeah, I was torn. So I got a tear, because Ruel was 2.9 kgs. By the time he was born, he was 2.9 kgs at 36 weeks. That's big for a first time mom. Anyway, so I was like, she did the stitching. She didn't do it very perfectly. I think she was sleepy or what, but she didn't do it perfectly. That is a mark I stay with. And I was excited that my baby is there finally. She's like, get off your bed, go and shower. Toka wende uoge. So I picked up my stuff from the bed. Trust me, all the pain and the weariness I was feeling before, at that moment I couldn't feel it. I was focusing on that baby. I want to hear the baby cry. Finally, the baby was at the woman. I could hear some sounds coming out. And I go to the bathroom, picked up my things, went to the bathroom. I told myself I'm going to wash this dress or something. Of course, there was blood and soil on my dress. I was like, no, I'm not going to wash this. I'll wash it at home. And I showered. It was very cold water. I showered. And after the shower, I came back, and during the shower, I could hear my baby cry. He was crying so loudly, the whole ward could be able to hear him. And then I came back, and I picked up my things, took them to the nursing room, and picked up the baby. And we went to the nursing room, and that is how Ruel is finally born. And a friend of God he is, like his name means. He came to us to show that God is a friend to us, even when we had been told we wouldn't have those miracles by ourselves. He was the first miracle, and his birth was a statement from God that no matter what man may say, if I've not given a stamp, it is not final. God gave us that child as a miracle child. I remember when he was born, I prayed to God. Before he actually was born, I prayed to God and said, God, I want an active baby. I want a very intelligent baby. And I prayed for him even the time he was put on my stomach, not chest, my stomach. And I prayed and told God, this boy will be successful, he will be favored, he will be intelligent, and he is surely living to his dreams. And I know God is in the business of making him even greater, because my prayers have not stopped. It's a lesson to us mothers that maybe you could be there and you've been told many things can't change in your life. Many things are permanent in your life. Like I was told, God God has a way of turning things around. Just trust Him. Just develop that bit of trusting Him and trust Him fully, because He is capable. He is able to change your situation and rewrite your story. Thank you for being here with us. And here is our Ruel. That's our firstborn, and that's how he came to this world till another one. God bless you.